Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. I am Garrett Zamora, and I'm joined once again by my brother Matt. Matt, thanks for
Yep.
joining.
Oh, awesome. Always a pleasure.
We're trying to beat the summer heat wave currently, so we're just gonna take a little bit of time to sit down and talk about a couple things. I'm gonna talk. I recently just finished, like days before Final Fantasy XVI came out. I finished 100%ing Tears of the Kingdom, so I was going to mention a couple things about that. And then
That's insane, by the way. Like that's insane.
it's like 200. I looked at my file and it's like 216 hours or something it took. That game was big. It was a lot to do, and there was a couple of things that took me way longer than they should have at the end. But yeah, that was. I knew it would be hard because just the type of like the style of game is so different from like an FF16 to a Zelda that I was like, it would be hard to like
Yeah.
submerge myself in 16 for 2 weeks or whatever and go back to because I'd be so bad at everything again. So I
Yeah.
really tried to finish that up before, and literally it was like 2 days I think before FF16 came out that I finished. So
You're on
uh,
a time crunch.
I
You're on a
was,
deadline.
I was, yeah, it was like the ticking clock was stressing me out. And then I took, like I had mentioned before on a previous episode, I took the week. I had about 10 days off, I think it was, for when FF16 dropped. Got a new TV because for me, I actually just finished paying off my student loan after like, what did I say, 2009? I think I'd been paying
Yeah.
that thing. So that was like my little gift to myself for finishing that.
Man,
Um,
again, that's so awesome.
it,
Congrats. That's
it,
wicked.
it feels real good to not have to worry about that payment every month anymore. And just because I've been living my entire adult life, I've been living under the weight of that thing.
Yeah.
So since I got out, I got a new TV. I did not expect. I knew the TV I wanted because I knew I was gonna do that when my payments were done. So I
Yeah.
had been scoping out online, like, and I found the one I wanted. And I didn't expect it to come in as fast as it did because I
Oh, okay.
literally ordered it like probably a week and about maybe 2 weeks before my vacation, and it came in like 5 days later or something.
Nice.
Got it delivered, and you know I am very picky about the settings on my TV, so I would have been insufferable if someone lived here with me to watch anything with because I'd be literally playing Zelda or playing something, and I'm just like, that shadow doesn't look right. One sec,
Yeah.
like hit a few buttons. The sky's not blue enough. Hold on. And like, and it was like probably like 3 or 4 days of doing that. That I probably spent a total of at least like 10 hours in menus
I
with that TV.
I appreciate that though. Like I'd be like, no, get that right. I'm a stickler about that. I know I don't get to nearly the level. I mean, you used to do that for, as a
it,
living kind of
it
thing.
was a
So
job before. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm sure you know way more what to tweak, but I certainly kind of want to make sure I have the best optimal gaming experience before kind of getting too far into it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I had got that all set up just before my before my vacation. So I was able to jump into FF16 in its full glory, and my God, was that a good test run for this TV?
Oh man.
It was unbelievable how, like, I mean, 16 just looks incredible on its own right.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, just having it. My TV was 10 years old. It was like, it was
Yeah.
still just a 1080p TV. It was great because I spent a lot of time tweaking that one. But it definitely was starting to show its limitations. So,
Hmm.
yeah, doing that with um, with a new
Like
game like
5K or
16.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's 4K is what it's like a 4K QLED.
Hmm.
And anyway, yeah, just that was a good test run for testing this new TV out with a game like FF16. So,
Yeah.
so I platinumed it. That's done. I've finished all that. So we'll talk about it this week on this episode. Pretty spoiler free. There may be some spoilery stuff within the first couple hours of the game, especially maybe like the demo area, and just slightly outside of that. So if anyone's listening and is like me with media blackout, just beware of that. But I'm gonna try and keep it like more on like general game design and kind of just general discussion about it. And then once you finish the game, we'll come back around to it again and have like a full spoiler open discussion about it. So
Yeah, and so I was quite adamant that Garrett not spoil anything for me during this talk, because I'm
yes,
not done yet.
yeah.
But if I am accidentally spoil something for you, the listeners, just bleep me or whatever. Just hard cut, star wipe me out of it.
Like I said, I'm gonna leave it fairly open for like at least until you encounter Garuda, because that is in a lot of the trailers, so that's pretty known to be early in the game. I think
Okay.
even the demo you could play the mission where you fight her or something.
Yeah.
So I'll try to keep it from there and earlier. Like I said, we'll come back around to it once Matt's finished, and that we can kind of talk more openly about all the spoilers. So, first off, Tears of the Kingdom. It was like 216 hours or something like that. That took me to 100% that game. And so there were in Breath of the Wild. There's these little things called Koroks that they like hide in these like micro puzzles.
Yeah.
All throughout the map, and it's literally like all these tiny little puzzles, or you find one and you got to bring him to his friend or whatever, and that kind of stuff. And in Breath of the Wild, there was 900 of them. In this one, there is 1,000 of them.
That's insane. I was gonna say, like, aren't there like 200 of them?
Yeah.
No, and then I was like, I don't want to blow Garrett up in case it's actually like 150 or something. So
Yeah, no, it's 1,000, and technically it's like a little less than that, because they're the ones where you bring one to the other one counts as two. Like you get two of the seeds or whatever. So maybe it is 900 again, but like 100 of them are those, or 50 of them, I guess rather would be those, or something
only
like that.
900.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I take away my impressed notion there.
So that obviously, and that is like, I know that number is like insane, and you don't even need more than like 500 of them to like, because what you do is you use the seeds they give you to expand your shield inventory, bow inventory, and weapon inventory. And just to get more slots, and it's like the first expansion for your weapon is like 1 seed, the next one's 2 seeds, the next one's 4 seeds, or things like that.
Okay.
So you need like 400 or 500 to max out all of your inventory.
Your equipment.
But then it's like, yeah, but there's still like 600.
You want that number? Yeah.
So
you want that 100 number?
Yeah, and because when you beat the game, a like completion percent shows up on your map. And so I just had to do that. So that number is insane, but it is so fun. It's like I have a map open of where they are, because there's no fucking way I'm gonna find all 1,000 of them by myself. Some of them are like deviously hidden, and so I have a map up, and I just like go to like one section of the map full screen, and I just like go on the map on the game, and you can pin like 6 things at a time that will persist on your mini map. And I'm just like, pin 6. I'm like, all right, go get that one, get that one, get that one, get that one, get that one. Map again. Look at the other map. Bing, 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 bing. Go again, and I just do that for hours. And it's just like it's fun. That game is just so fun to explore, that map. And then they have, so there's like the main map, and then there's the sky map with those like sky islands, and then there's the depths, which we talked about I think on the podcast before, where you're like underground. Thankfully, there's none in the depths because that place is a little trickier navigating, or just more dangerous. But there are some in the sky, so I was able to just use those two maps to pick all those up. Um,
Yep.
and then when you get down to like one or two left, it's like, which one am I missing? If I like, because on these maps that I
Oh,
use, you can check them as completed, and you can hide the ones that are completed. But if
yeah.
you miss one or click the wrong one, or out of 1,000, you're gonna do that once. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
like my map is clear, but I have 999 Koroks. So like, which one did I fucking miss? So that took some
Yeah.
time to like, I just have to like show them again and go through the map and just very quickly scan to see
Oof.
which ones I missed. The things that count for your percentage is so like when you look at your map, any like area that has a name associated with it won't show up. Like the main regions do, but if you're like, oh, such and such town or such and such ruins,
Yeah.
when you go there on the map, like when you go there in the game, that name will now show on the map of the so and so ruins will
I
now
got you.
be
I
on
got
your map if you've been there.
you. Yeah,
But they
yeah,
won't
yeah.
be there before. That counts for percent. So you have to go and check and one thing that Breath of the Wild added later, and this game has, is called like Hero's Path or something. It literally records like 300 hours or 400 hours of gameplay, and you look at your map, and it just shows you where you went for like 300 hours, like a trail. And so it's like that
Wow.
did help. It's like, okay, I didn't go anywhere in this corner of this map or something.
Oh, okay.
So I could
That's
kind
that's
of,
actually a helpful feature. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. But like, the game had only been out for 3 weeks or whatever, so there weren't a lot of good resources for like
yeah.
every map location. Like, like I was like 4 or 5 different sites I was going to try and figure out like to try and what I'm missing on my map and stuff. Some of the side quests added stuff to the map, like you restored this one little like beach town, and when you did that, it now had like a shop and an inn and whatever, and those show up on the map, so that counts too. So I had to do all the side quests just to make sure anything that gets added via side quest is added. So like that's not something I'm missing that I wouldn't see
Yeah.
when I was
Okay.
looking at my
Gotcha. Gotcha.
map. And then I was like every cave entrance and most of the wells you find, you can actually go down and there's like a little mini cave in the wells. Those counted for percent. Just you don't even have to finish them because you can get a check mark if you like beat the little hidden enemy in it or get the treasure in
Yeah.
it or something. You just had to like get the icon of the cave or the well to show up on your map. So those counted. Um,
This is insane.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy how much stuff. And I was literally stuck on like 99.6% for like 3 days. I could not find the thing I was missing using all these different websites, and I just had
Oh
to
man.
I had to step
What was
away and
it?
come back. It was like in the depths there was like this one person who would sell you like a unique type of, was it equipment? Yeah, it was like equipment you could buy that I think he's the only one in the game you can buy that stuff from. But you had to like, how did I think you had to like talk to him for the first time to get it to show up on the map, to get like the shop icon.
So
It,
like you're missing a shop. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so it's like
yeah.
it like I just had to talk to him, and he's like, "Oh, I can sell you this stuff now," and like he opens his shop,
Yeah, okay.
and so it's like because I did find a map that had a shop icon there, and I was looking at my map, and I was like, "Wait." Because a lot of times you're like, oh, is that? Oh no, I have that. Is this? No,
Yeah.
I have that too. Or a map, like a name on a map, like oh, no, I got that one. But I saw the shop and I like literally like quadruple take. I'm like, huh, huh, wait, I think that's it.
It's so funny, like just imagine Link like running is like, I'm so happy to be at your shop. He's like, dude,
Like,
relax.
where have you been? It's like I've done everything in this game and I've never talked to this one guy.
Yeah. I've anyway, I don't know the story, so this isn't spoilers. I literally am just talking out of my ass, but it's like I've defeated Ganondorf, I've done it, but I need to buy your shovel.
It's like, and then it's like, just kidding. I don't actually need to buy anything. I'm good now. And it was like
Yeah,
he was even in a place I had been. I just didn't talk to this guy.
yeah.
So it's not even like
I
the
just
place
needed to
was hidden.
talk to you. I
Yeah,
don't need to buy anything.
I need to talk to you, and then you'll never see me again.
And it's like you're so powerful. You're just like emitting, an aura, and it's just like, oh my god! It's like, hello, can I see your wares, please? It's just
Yeah.
like, I have this shovel,
Like,
and
all right,
and
I'm
I
good. Thank you. Bye.
anyway, okay, bye.
Yeah. So yeah, I was stuck on that last thing, and I think it's like every like little new icon you would add, it added like 0.3% or whatever, and I
Yeah,
knew the last one would just
would do it.
would
Yeah,
round
yeah,
out
yeah.
like it's like it was like 0.6. So and because I'm in Breath of the Wild did the same thing, um, and so it's like I knew it was
Mm.
one last thing, and yeah, it was just so hard to like figure out what it was. So anyway, but it was genuinely so much fun. Like just getting around in that game, it's unbelievable how big it is now. I even have a better idea of that after doing
Yeah.
the 100% and going to all the Sky Islands and stuff. Um, and it's like I saw this thing. The game is like the install size is like 16 gigabytes. It's like,
What?
oh, how is this possible? What is this sorcery? I don't understand.
Oh man.
When there's like Call of Duty on like is like 100 gigs, and it's like
Yeah.
what, like, and like that's overdoing it, obviously. But it's like, how did they get this much shit into 16 gigs? I,
And
I don't understand. I still don't
S-
understand.
Switch games are like those little SD card
Yeah,
looking things, aren't they? Like, yeah,
yeah,
anyway, that's insane.
yeah,
That by itself blows my mind.
yeah. It's crazy.
But
They're just very efficient at however they
mm,
compress that stuff onto the I don't know. I don't understand enough about game development to dispute it. But yeah. So yeah, 100% of that literally like 2 or 3 days before 16. And it was just like such like a sigh of relief because if I was missing that, like it would also have been hard to go back because
oh yeah,
I had like I knew all the websites that I was checking. Like it would have been hard to like get back in that
you're in a
investigative like
groove.
mindset, right?
Yeah. Um,
Excuse me. So yeah, I was really glad to get that done before.
Ignorant question, but like, you 100% of that pretty quick. Like, were you in a level of like top 10%
Uh,
or something? Or I
I
mean,
don't. I have no. I wouldn't even know how to know that. I
yeah,
definitely feel like I saw other people posting that they just did it because those were some of the guides or maps I was using that
yeah,
said
yeah,
like, oh, I can confirm like this didn't count, and because I got 100% and getting this thing didn't count for it. It
yeah.
didn't count for a percent or whatever. So I honestly have no idea.
Not,
Um,
not that it, not that you would care about it or anything, but
I'm
still,
sure I was an early one. I was among an early, a smaller percentage probably.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't take more than like 2 days off for that game, so I also didn't like no life it for like 2 straight weeks, like some people probably did.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was
Still,
for how hard it was to get answers on certain things. I would say it was definitely, it was rarefied air when
yeah,
you're up
yeah,
in that
exactly.
90 some percent, like because it was hard to get some answers for very specific things that I had to like figure
You're part of the pioneers going through new land kind of thing.
yeah.
Uh,
So anyway,
no,
yeah,
that's
finished
impressive.
that. No regrets at all. They did say going forward with like the 3D Zeldas, like they're gonna still adopt a Breath of the Wild style game design, which
Mm,
is like the very open and very freedom based kind of thing versus the very linear progression.
Yeah.
It won't necessarily be Breath of the Wild 3. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they'll do that.
Okay.
But they want to like do the same sort of game design concepts. Um, just because, yeah, they're and I'm glad because like replaying those games never feels the same.
Awesome.
It doesn't because like when you're replaying like Ocarina of Time, you're like, okay, Water Temple here, like, all right, just
Yeah,
get
yeah,
through this part or whatever part of the game is that you don't like. And it's, you don't get that with this game because you can literally once you do the tutorial area, you wherever you want to go, you just go.
yeah.
So yeah, really loved it. I'm glad I'm not a part of any kind of organization that has to decide a game of the year and
Yeah,
partake in that kind of discussion
yeah,
because less or like a little over a month later that I get a brand new 3D Zelda game, I get a brand new numbered Final Fantasy entry.
yeah,
Which is
yeah, yeah,
insane that those came out so close together for me specifically,
yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
much those two series mean to me. So I was on media blackout for 16, and so I didn't play the demo, and I didn't watch any of the recent PAX panels or developer letters, things like that. You did play the demo,
Yep.
and I think I was just sitting at work. I don't remember if I got it at night or maybe it might have been at night. I just got a text from you that
Yeah.
said, "Jesus effing Christ! I guess I have to buy this game now." And I was like, it was like knowing it's like Yoshi P and Soken. It's like
Yeah.
somewhat validating. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good endorsement right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
so
man,
I knew I was in for a treat because I did know that it was like the opening hours of the game.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
knew it was like I was going to experience what you just did, immediately when the game released.
So
Um,
that may be the first time in history where I was like ahead of you in
yeah,
anything
sure.
game wise. Like
When we were younger, the PlayStation was yours, so you definitely
that,
had the head start on the PS1 era for sure.
yeah, fair. So I guess since then,
Sure.
so for 20 years, let's say, um, like, and it was like, and it was something that I could kind of marinate in for like a week because you said you weren't gonna play the demo, and I
Yeah.
was like, I've played the demo. I I know more than Garrett about FF16
Yeah, you did.
right now. Yeah, yeah. And then like so I downloaded the demo and like work was crazy. Like June is like busiest month
Yeah, you were saying, yeah.
for my job. So um I kind of like downloaded it and like okay, no, tonight won't work. I got to do XYZ for work. Da, da, da. Okay, I think like whatever night. And then I kind of and I was just like as we discussed, like 14 is something that like I'd like to play, but I know it would just consume me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
And
long.
and
And they've
15,
even made it that you can pretty much solo the entire game now up to the end of the current expansion.
yeah.
The dungeons you have to do as part of the main story, you can do with NPCs, and you just bring
Oh,
three
okay.
NPCs. So like they made it soloable the whole game,
That's
pretty
good to
much.
know,
But
actually.
it's also like 600 hours
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something
So
insane. So yeah, yeah,
and that's just never really been my jam. But
yeah, yeah.
and then 15 kind of left me cold.
Mhm.
And maybe I'll revisit it someday. But all in all, I'm just like, just give me Rebirth, FF7 Rebirth, like, and it's like, oh, 16. Let's give it a shot. And so I downloaded the demo. Why the hell not? And then played it, and then was just like, holy fucking like this game. And I was like playing. I think it's like it's 10 o'clock. I'll power through this, go to bed, and just see what it's like. See if this is a game that I'll bother to get.
At
And
least right
then
away, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like maybe let's see if I'll add it to my list.
Yeah.
And then get through it, and I'm just like shaking. I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? That's it? Come on, what? And then so like then I can't remember if I sent you that text right at that moment or like after I woke up. I can't remember if I just didn't want to wake you, but and then immediately bought it. Like it's
Oh, so
just like,
yeah, because you ordered a physical copy, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
because knowing I don't have time to play this until like July.
Right. Right.
So it's like I'll get the physical copy and because it's gonna take I won't have it on launch day.
Right.
So it'll take an extra couple of days, and there was some confusion delivering it and whatnot. And I was like, it's okay as long as I have it like by July 2nd or when when we flip over into Q3.
Yeah.
And then so then I kind of had it for as soon as work calmed down a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, fuck
Yeah.
that game.
So I looked at and it was Friday morning. So I'm guessing you sort of marinated on it overnight. Or wait, no, sorry, that's the wrong text. No, it was 11:49 p.m. was the one I said. It was just the next morning. You said I literally can't stop thinking about FF16. I was like, I was so happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy because like, and I said this on the podcast, like I knew it was gonna be amazing just because of who's making it. Like I knew I was gonna love every second of that game, and it still like blew me away. Like I was ready for it to blow me away, and it like went even further. Especially with that freaking demo, man. It's crazy how much you get of the world setup. Because you play that initial like flashback sequence, and you do those missions or whatever when you go on that hunt or whatever, and then it's like in case you forgot this game was M-rated, that demo makes it very clear, very quick.
Oh man,
that it does not pull punches at all.
So like literally turn on the game and it's like Phoenix Ifrit like
fight. That's how it starts.
There may be like 5 words about mother crystals first or something, but like I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it's just like, what is happening?
And you're playing it. It's not a cutscene.
Yeah. And like, cause I remember I watched the trailer long ago, like the first trailer, let's say. And I was kind of like, okay, there's some words I recognize. And I do remember like, I really, really liked, hold on here. 12 is 11 was the like MMO one, right?
12 was like Evilise and
I really liked 12, but sometimes I found like I just kind of got lost in some of the verbiage and like it was almost sometimes like I needed a thesaurus to play that game sometimes. And I found it hard to track. It's like, okay, there's all these different kingdoms and who's at war with who. And then the trailer was like, oh, okay, lots of different kingdoms at war, and oh, this nation is part of this kingdom, and all these kind of things. Like, oh, this might be hard to keep track of. And in a way, it is, but that ATL function is.
I literally made and wrote like a specific point to talk about active time lore. Yeah, I love. It's like mid cutscene. You're like, wait, is that who I think it is? Open it up. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's her. And it's like, there was one where there was like, and it's not really a spoiler, but there's like it's like some very clearly type of like magical handcuff. And the way the person had them on was reacting weird to them. And I was like, is that something I should know? Pull it up. And they literally had an entry for those magic handcuffs. Like, it's perfect.
It's
I
really
love it.
Clever. Yeah. And
because no,
it's fine.
Because Final Fantasy, like, love it or hate it, like love it or hate this reason or this trope it has, because they all do it. They throw terms at you.
Oh yeah.
Like you start and you're just kind of like, it's very like I always thought it was like very Star Warsy in a way, where it's like you're just in this world and all of this stuff exists around you and you'll slowly understand it.
Yeah.
13 had sort of the genesis of active time lore because every time you had a cutscene, you got a bunch of entries and it's like
Yeah.
lore compendium, but it was not
Yeah.
as easy or quick to
Not,
access as like
not as
mid cutscene.
easily accessible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Um, it's this is the first like I find myself reading a lot and
yeah.
enjoying
Same.
it.
I usually skip like notes and stuff that are, like lore notes that you discover in like adventure games. Like I'm like usually skim. I'm, okay, I get it. And it's
Yeah.
like, but this I was like, oh, who's this person? Like, oh, what's the deal with this kingdom? And like read the whole entry, and then it updates as you
Yeah. Oh
progress in
yeah.
the game. So it's like
Yeah.
got multiple pages as you
Um,
learn more.
exactly about that person or that like whatever. And
Yeah.
especially when I go and data dump to whatever that dude at the hideout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I,
Tomes.
yeah, and so I'm just like, it's like, oh, this is related to that. Oh, and I was just like 17 like stacks. Um, but no, I really love that because, and I think that's why I'm enjoying this more than 12. Like in 12, I was like, I get the loose story, but it's like, um, which kingdom is this dude from? I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, the stakes weren't as high when you can't follow it
Yeah.
to that same level. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's this guy's brother, but I don't know. It's like, is this a good king or a bad king? I don't know. But in this one, it's just like, oh, okay, there's Waloed, and then there's this. It's like, oh, is this part of, this kingdom, and like who's what? And so I just hold down the button for a little bit, and okay, I think I understand
Yeah.
the iron kind of that and Waloed and Rosaria, and so it's just like I can piece it together, and it helps me stay engaged because
Yeah.
if the world gets too big and I don't grow with it, then I think it'll just be, yeah, some nation is fighting with
Yeah.
someone.
For
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like every JRPG should have that from
Mhm.
like this point forward. I honestly think every JRPG should give you access to that stuff, like at any point, because
I'm sh
it did so much for, like you said, just engaging you as the story grows and progresses.
I'm sure it's a shit ton of work.
Yes.
Yeah, but
That's why I'm sure it doesn't exist in every, in everything. Their localization team that they use for this game, who's the one that works on 14, um, it's very them to be this thorough with
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Um, so I knew they had very good team of like good writers to fill out all that stuff.
um,
And that's the kind of thing that the like polish time gives you. Like this
yep,
game was gold in like I booked my vacation when they announced it went gold, meaning it was done. Um, I guess no, that wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't add stuff after that. Well, no, they say polished. I don't know. The game I feel like has been more or less finished, like from the start to finish point,
yeah.
for a while,
Mhm.
and so they had a lot of polish time, and that's the kind of stuff you can really fill out during that time. I'm sure is that flavor text and all that stuff.
I'm trying to think of a moment where the ATL like answered my exact question.
Sure,
um,
I know
uh,
of one, but I don't know if you've been there yet, and it's past the demo, so I won't say what it
okay.
is. But it was literally like, is that who I think it is? Yep. I was like,
Yeah.
you bitch.
um, and yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was just like, where is this person from? And it was just like
Sure.
blah 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 from Waloed or whatever. It was like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Or it's like, is Waloed part of? Yep. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no,
I
I was.
love that. I
I
love the
loved it.
active time lore. It's
Yeah.
so good for uh, because that means you don't have to give up that thing that they do where they throw you in the middle of an existing
Yeah.
world and they don't like that way you don't necessarily have to play the completely like amnesiac protagonist where someone has to explain everything to you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which sometimes they do a little bit of that, but like Clive understands this world for the most
Yeah.
part, right?
Yeah.
So you don't sacrifice that sort of, like, I call it like a Star Warsy sort of feeling
Yeah.
of just being thrown into a world that has a lot of depth,
Yeah.
without having to have the exposition guy that tells you. No, you always get some of that, but it's less of him telling you how this world works from the basic levels, right? So
Yeah.
the active time lore, um, it's so perfect for that. Also, I'm going to jump around in my notes a little bit, but so you've met Sid. There's a little outside of the demo, but you've met Sid, obviously.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Sid.
I think I texted you this.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially after you play more of the game, I genuinely think this is like my favorite Sid
Yeah.
of all the Final Fantasies. He's so
Awesome.
so good, and his voice fits perfectly. And like, it's very charming how he's like he keeps coming up with plans, but clearly is not sure if they're gonna work, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pretty open. He's just like that, like overconfidence that he has.
Yeah.
It honestly just like endears him to you even more. Also,
Who's the voice actor? I love his voice.
I looked up the name, but I'm blanking on it right now.
Sorry.
I don't think it was someone I necessarily knew of. Because I was like, man, I also feel like I would recognize his voice because it's so unique. If it was
Yeah.
someone I had heard before, but I don't think I
Yeah.
recognized who it was.
No.
He does an amazing job.
He not necessarily in the voice, but in his cavalier attitude
Yeah,
is it's very Nathan Drake in a lot of ways.
sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good call. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
kind of the play by his own rules rebel type too. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, also a little homage to Tactics is he can use like lightning powers, right?
Did
And
Sid in tactics
he was Thunder
or
God Sid.
oh, okay, gotcha.
So I'm sure that's a little bit of an homage to Tactics, because he has similar powers or whatever, or at least he can control or has lightning magic. Um, so that was one of those. There's that gif of from Hangover where Zach Galifianakis is
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
That's me playing these games, especially when it's Yoshi P, because he loves referencing old stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm always just like looking for the homages. Even the when you get past the demo area and you get like the sort of a normal battle theme when you're just fighting stuff in the field, it's got a
Yeah, yeah.
very FF8 opening to that battle theme.
Okay.
It's very like don't be afraid, sort of those first couple notes,
Oh, I'll think about that.
and stuff like that. I'll send you
Um,
like a comparison.
there
Um,
are there are several uh parts that I've been to where it has a very FF13 kind of vibe,
sure,
like out, especially not like world map or whatever, but when you're
just those
traveling
bigger areas, yeah,
bigger
bigger
areas, yeah,
zones.
kind of has a very oh, and I'm blanking on the FF13 world.
Oh, the Grand Pulse.
Grandpa, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Kind of,
actually, that's a good comparison. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The music had a very similar vibe. I don't know if there's any influences there, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Hamuzu worked on this. I think it was mostly Soken, but he loves referencing stuff too. So,
Yeah.
and he's got the thing I love. One of my notes is Soken Unleashed because he just had the budget, obviously, to do a lot more, and a little more freedom when it's like so. With an MMO, you're just like constantly having to come up with new music for new areas and a new dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, and he delivers every time, but it's like I feel bad for the really good themes that he makes that once people don't have to run this dungeon anymore, they'll never hear this song again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so to compose for a single player game with a beginning and an end, it's like your work will get equal like mind share. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people
yeah.
will hear all of it more than once because if they go through the game again.
Yeah.
And his strength in being in like diversity of his music styles. Like that opening Phoenix Ifrit fight from the demo is like crazy, like what you would expect for that type of scene, like classical sort of
Yeah.
music and choirs singing and whatever. And then you get like there's a couple boss fights. Man, I can't wait for you to encounter Titan, because that I think I texted you something that was like
Okay, I was wondering.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it involves Titan, and I just said because anyone that listens to the podcast knows we both love Revengeance, and I just said like the thing I just did in this game makes Revengeance look like Mario teaches typing.
Yeah.
For just how outrageous, but also like musically was like
Oh.
on that same level, and it's just like Soken can do both, right? And when he composes, like even like the Titan fight in Final Fantasy XIV is very similar style to what he does that's Titan related in this game.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get the text from you when you do that part of the game.
Like I'm already losing my mind
I
at
know.
this game.
And you're like basically still in the tutorial.
Yeah.
Like-
And like so that opening Phoenix Ifrit kind of fight,
Yep.
I couldn't get that music out of my head for like
I
a
know.
week.
Yeah. It's
Like
on Spotify now, I think. They added that song on Spotify, I think.
it was so just like I had to like pause it. I was like, I'm so stressed right now. And it was just like I don't know what's happening. Like why the stakes are so high, and I've been playing this for like 30 seconds. Um, and then the battle themes, especially like some of the boss ones and whatnot, like again, they're just in the demo. But when
Yep.
you're fighting they call it something different, but the Marlboro in the
Oh yeah.
swamp,
Yep.
and like it like almost eats you and it throws you up into the air and all the kind of cinematic triggers, whatever, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is a boss fight. Like this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
It feels like an evolution of 7 remake boss fights,
yeah,
because they
yeah.
had those cinematic transitions within the phases. So it
Yeah.
feels very familiar to that sort of design document. And then one thing I actually heard, which is because I'm going to talk a little later about why I love this being a PS5 exclusive. I know that's like a hot topic for some people, but the things that it allows them to do, because so PS5. Sorry, you finish your point because I'm going to go off on PS5
Okay.
exclusivity.
All I was gonna say was like, and the music behind it, just like swelling at these parts, like it's just that's kind of when I kind of texted you, or just like, fuck this game. This game knows how to be a fucking game. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how blown away I was by the demo.
Yeah.
And
then
now
you even texted me something like, where is it? Yeah, it's like there's a part in the demo where I audibly said Garrett's gonna lose his shit right here, and I'm pretty sure that was the Dragoon fight, is what you were referring to. Yeah,
it like panned up. There was like the moon and a Dragoon doing his like FF4 like pose, whatever.
like literally like the title of one of the title logos of 4 is Kane standing like that, and I was like milliseconds. I was like, I know exactly what they're doing right now with that pose. It's so fucking cool.
And I think I audibly said 2 things, because like it panned up, like just cinematography beautiful.
Yeah.
I said 2 things. I said like, oh, fuck off. Just like I was like, oh, of course,
you got
like
me.
You got me. Like the most perfectly framed shot. And then pause, and I was like, oh, Garrett's gonna lose his mind. But
what's crazy, in the very first reveal trailer for this game back in 2020, that Dragoon fight was in that trailer. Like that part of the game was already like, and it like looked like better now than it did then. But like that little, when he comes in and you dodge and it like goes right into gameplay. That little sequence was in that trailer, so it's like that's how much polish they've been able to do on like that shot, right? Right there.
the kind of two quick things I'll say before you go off on
Yeah.
your thing there was uh I kept on for a little while the like uh one of the timely
Oh, the accessories.
accessories.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would kind of, so dodging was easier or
You get
whatever.
the prompt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had that on for a while, and then I was like, I feel like hard mode is probably not going to let me use these things, and I should start to learn how to do this a bit better.
Sure.
Because like I was pretty good, but it would save my ass frequently.
Sure.
And I was finding it a little easy, because I
Just
never used
wouldn't get
any.
hit.
Yeah, exactly, and I'd never use any potions or anything. So I
Yeah.
was like, this is too easy. I should took it off, and then like immediately kept getting my ass handed to me all the time. I think my first game over was like, I think I'll take this off. Like, okay, I need to pay more attention.
Yeah.
I'm too busy like being in love with this game that I need to like think, oh yeah, I've work to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's like, oh okay, I'm watching movements a lot more closely.
Yeah,
So
looking for the tells, and then it becomes a little more like revengeance. Sort of
yeah,
your gaming instincts from that sort of come in when you gotta like look for the attack or whatever.
yeah.
Parrying is hard to do, but if
Oh,
you can do it, it feels so good.
I
Especially on like a big swing, and you're just like get that slow down and that kind of like blurry effect all around. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've gotten it a couple of times, especially some of the big ogre type,
Yeah,
where they're swinging their
big
cudgel,
wind-ups.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've paid for it, but
Yes.
by missing it
I
several
do.
times.
I do feel. I don't know if it's mechanically different, and maybe the window is easier to hit or whatever. But if you charge your blade, if you do like the burning blade
Mm,
or whatever it's called, where you hold your attack button down,
uh,
I do find it's easier when I'm trying to
mm.
parry. If I charge it up first, maybe it comes out faster.
Windows a
Um,
bit bigger or something,
Something,
or
yeah. But
yeah,
like when I want to parry something, I'll like charge it, and I can usually get it for some of those really obvious, big
yeah, yeah.
attacks or whatever.
Okay, that's good to
So
know.
yeah, that's definitely a thing that comes in handy.
Um, but yeah, so I still have the one on where the dog kind of does his own thing, where
Sure,
Torgal kind of, I don't need to tell him to do commands.
sure,
So maybe ultimately I force him to heal me a lot, a
sure.
lot more now. But anyway, the other thing I was gonna say was like, um, so I got the game, and with the demo, it kind of gave you the option to kind of continue,
Right.
like,
Carry your
like
save or whatever.
yeah, and I was just like, nope, new game, start over.
To go through it again.
Go through it again. Oh, I was just like, because I loved it so much. It's like, no, I just want to do that again.
Yeah.
Um, and oh man, like I had like an emotional reaction to just like the way, this is in the demo. Yeah, the way Ifrit like completely murders Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, no, like you can't show this. Like this is
Intense.
brutal.
Yeah.
I was just like, almost like feeling sick. Like it was just
Yeah.
so brutal.
And Clive's
Clive's,
performance. Yeah.
oh God. Anyway, that was just like, that's how you open a fucking game.
Yeah. There's literally
Uh,
that, and then title.
yeah.
It like really
And
scrolls up into the title.
and then that's, I think I told you, I was like, I just essentially threw my controller at the screen. It was just like, okay, give me my credit card. Like, I guess I have to buy this game now. That was me going to, like, I feel like every step up the stairs to bed was just like, fuck, Jesus, god damn. Like, why isn't this game out now? Like,
And
it's,
that's why I didn't play the demo. Because that would have exactly been my reaction.
and it's funny, like people have been waiting, like you, for like a year or whatever for this game, and now I gotta wait like a week, and I'm like an angry tantrum child of just like, no.
It was literally like summer 2020 when they did the PS5 reveal event. That's when they showed this trailer to
Mhm.
like reveal of FF16 existing. And
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as that trailer was done, I was like, well, start putting money away for a PS5 now. Like that is why I need one, because like seeing FF16, like, yep, I have to like every pay now I'm putting a little bit away for a PS5 because
Yeah.
I need to own one at this point.
I guess mine was slightly later because mine was like I had PS4 for 7 remake, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't. I'll get a PS5 for Rebirth or whatever the
Part
sequel
2.
will be. Yeah, and then intermission.
Integrate.
Yeah,
And
integrate.
intermission is the Yuffie part, yeah.
Yeah, exclusive PS5. Hello, Best Buy. Getting a PS5. And like, no, you gotta get in the list, you moron. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
But
and everyone else.
you got one quick. I feel
I
like you
did,
got one
yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah,
You just
probably
had to,
within a month or two, but
yeah. But it was before 7 came out.
oh, not before 7, but before intermission
Or
came
that's
out.
what I meant. Sorry,
Yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
intermission came out. Yeah.
That's a pseudo. Anyway, that's a funny story because my buddy Robbie and I both put our names on a list at the same time, and at like EB Games or something. And both of us were out of town when they came out, or when our
they
names
called or
came out.
whatever.
Yeah, and so they called me. I was like, yeah, can you come in and buy it, get it right now? And I was like, oh man, like I'm in Hamilton right now. But my buddy Robbie, he's next on the list, so just tell him and he'll get them both. It's like, no, Robbie's first. He's out of town, and he told me that you would do that. So we called each other. We're like, we're both out of town. What the hell? This wasn't part of the deal. So my buddy Zach, I was like, Zach, how much money? What's your limit on your credit card? Because I need you to go buy two
PS5s.
And the EB Games, I was like, can you like hold it? I'll be there in like 3 days. And he's like, are you kidding me? You want me to hold it? It's like, no, you moron. Like, I'm gonna call the next like 50 people on this list unless you're here in 2 hours. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So that okay. I will literally wire you like $1,200 right now. Just you go by. And so he sent me a picture of like backseat of his car because they have kids, just like in the car seats,
all taped or all seat belts
buckled in. Yeah. Robbie and I just like we own like beers or whatever. But
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, tangent. But the other thing, so just that whole scene, go to title sequence, like just so beautifully done.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
What an intro.
My kind of shameful confusion was like there was Clive's mom, who clearly wants nothing to do with him,
right?
And then like Benedicta,
yeah.
And then like Jill, who's a kid or whatever. But just like I just kind of getting people confused, especially because like it's that scene with like the war with Titan and Shiva,
and then you go back. Sure, yeah.
And then so I was just like, Shiva, oh, is she like I thought Benedicta was Shiva.
Okay.
And because she clearly kind of had some magical powers to her in the video,
right?
Like around the
table when they're all talking.
The table,
whatever, yeah.
And then her and Titan clearly hot for each other, and I was like, oh, they're just gonna have this battle, and it's all just, it's all just for show.
Sure.
But they're clearly like just putting on airs, and they
sure.
actually are kind of together. And I was like, this is insane, but whatever. And then later, anyway, so I was just like, oh, no, she clearly is more of a wind character. But anyway, ATL. Oh, okay,
yeah. Yeah, because that's when it comes in handy.
yeah. But I was just like, oh, come on, Matt, get in the game. But anyway, all these like you're like you said, you're thrust into this universe of just like, okay, guys, slow down. Not only every second word you say, I need a thesaurus. But
Yeah.
all these characters and their allegiances to whatever kingdom, and um, oh, people may or may not betray their kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I remember getting a little confused by who was who, but thankfully got sorted out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay.
Yeah, no,
PS5
but
exclusive.
that just proves the value of ATL,
Hmm.
of where it can clear that stuff up. Yeah, so here let's take a quick break because I
Cool.
definitely I want to talk about why I love that this is a PS5 exclusive game and why that excites me for future ones, and then just a little bit of like, you know, like 100%ing it without getting spoilery,
Yeah.
and also there's so much 14 influence in this game that I want to point out some of like it's like so dumb, and it's like Mike plays a lot of 14 and he came down and watched me play and he saw this one thing like and like immediately was like, is that from 14? I was like, yes. And it's like and so it's like there's so much of like little foot of like fingerprints of 14 throughout this game, so I want to talk about some of that stuff before we continue. But yeah, let's take a super quick break and we'll come right back.
Cool. All right. See you in a sec.
Yeah. Everybody, welcome back. So, with FF16, I'm going to cover this first. So, first of all, like 100%ing it, I don't want to say much. So, there is like a New Game Plus option. And that is one of the trophies, is to beat it on that. And it's such a perfect New Game. It's literally like 7 remake level of second playthrough.
Yeah.
Like it changes the way you have to play the game a little bit. I think the only thing that maybe is different is like the level cap for your character increases on your second playthrough, because like I'm pretty sure the level cap is I think it's 50 on your first play. I didn't get to it before I beat the game, but it's like I was pretty sure because it gets raised to like 100 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it went from 50 to 100. So I guess that's one difference between like 7 remake. I think it just was 50 the whole time, and you get there at some point in your second playthrough. But just the way, like, I won't even necessarily say why or what they changed, but you definitely have to like approach each like mission a little different than you did the first time.
Well, it's kind of like 7 remake. It was no items, I think, was
that was the thing.
big,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
you
it was
couldn't
just
recover MP other than getting to the next chapter. I'm pretty sure. Like even sitting on benches, I don't think healed you.
correct. Yeah. Maybe just MP or nothing.
Well, sure, you could restore HP with spells, but then there was definitely no way to get MP back.
Yeah.
Until you get to the next chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when it was like, oh, hard mode has like no items, and it was like, screw items. Oh man, ethers. Oh crap.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's no problem. I barely use items anyway, and then you
Yeah.
forget that's how you get MP back.
Yeah, because it's like I'm not a big item player. Like it's
Same.
like I keep every elixir I have until the final boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that. But I was like, oh yeah, I've never been an items guy. Like, who uses items? Matt, ethers. Oh yeah, that's an item.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so in a similar way, you just have to like approach the game a little differently, and
which is cool.
like decide your builds a little differently for like the powers you bring into each mission you do or whatever. But it's like just such a satisfying second playthrough.
Good.
Because just harder. It's the right amount of extra difficulty. That you're not just plowing through it, but it's also not just every enemy has 7 times as much health and nothing else has changed. Like that's fun. That's not a fun way to do it. So
That's a lazy lazy hard mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this does a much better job, and it was really fun going through the second time. Um, and I literally got the platinum trophy like 10 p.m. the night before I had to go back to work. Like I just got it because I knew the last trophy I left and it's not even that I left it that way. I happened to get all the other ones up to this point. The last one was just beat the game on New Game Plus.
Mm.
So it's like I knew what I had to do and how long it would take me to get that last trophy. So if I'd gone to work knowing I only had like 2 hours left or whatever to like, I was like, it would have been so much harder to sit there at work, like knowing I'm just that one trophy away. So I definitely powered through that night and yeah, I got it like literally hours before I had to go back to work.
It's interesting that you platinumed it before I started it.
Well, like you said too, your June was just stupid
Uh,
busy. So,
yeah. So,
and I
but
took a week off for the game. So
it was still pretty funny.
it's like I was so jealous that you knew more about the game than I did that I had to platinum it before you could even touch it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So anyway, yeah. Uh, it's a very, and I think we sort of like posited this before that like they've been good with their platinum trophy, like how they like the difficulty they make for a platinum run has been very solid for the last couple games.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that this one kept sort of in line with that, and that gives me confidence that the Rebirth Platinum will be similarly designed to not be like annoying to get,
yeah,
and just like really fully experience the game to get it basically.
yeah.
Um, we'll just talk briefly about all the 14 stuff influence in this game because it's like if I didn't know Yoshi P was like directing this game, I would have called out so many of these things immediately because but it's like knowing that just made it even just that much more obvious. Um, so like literally the first time I did a quest and I think it was even I think no, you see this when you do the big battles and it's like the little victory screen comes up. It's like
Mm.
spoils and like your XP or whatever.
Mhm.
The XP icon is the one from 14. It is
Oh wow.
exactly the icon, and that's the one Mike came in and was like, "Hey, is that the 14 XP icon?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It's like he saw it for like a second, and I was like, "Oh, I know that symbol."
That's amazing.
It's like that. The the way like when you accept a quest and it does like a
Mm.
little like 5 second like musical
Ah, yeah,
thing
yeah,
and like
yeah,
quest accepted, and then when
yeah.
you quest complete and a little music or whatever, that is 100% FF14. That happens when you do. I, is it every? I think it's main quests. It's like main story quest that does that. I don't remember if it's every quest, but it's definitely main quest. It does quest accepted, and it plays like the chime of this expansion essentially,
Oh wow.
and does that every time. Um, oh, the so Garuda when you get to her icon fight, um, and maybe I'll send you this so you can have like the reference. But like right when like you're it's like right when you set down and it's like okay like fight, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
right when you get to that point after you finish fighting her in like human form or whatever and it
Hmm.
shifts into the icon fight, it plays like 30 seconds of the theme when you fight her in 14. He just so can just like
Oh wow.
tucks that melody in right at the beginning, and then it goes into its own theme, and I caught it immediately. Those two things that you had to fight in the church, it was like
Oh,
Charada and Serpana or something like that.
her like yeah, Garuda's minions or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, yeah.
when you fight her in 14, she summons those two ads, and I mean, they look better, but they
Yeah,
look
yeah.
similar, and they have the same names. Um, a lot of the move names from things like Garuda and Titan are
Mm.
exactly the same, and they even like do similar things.
Yeah,
Like when like Aerial Blast is like a big
yeah.
AOE move that Garuda does. That's like her ultimate in 14. There's just a lot of a lot of crossover with, and there's definitely some tight moves that do the exact same thing to the point that I was like scared of getting hit by it, knowing what it does in 14. I didn't want to get hit by it in this game.
And that's kind of it's kind of a next level of the that's what I love about Final Fantasy so much is that like the story will be completely different, but there's so many constants that
yes.
are so it's like when I remember at one point someone said like, look, there can't be another icon of fire, there's only 8, and so I was like, pause, I was like, okay, we know about Phoenix, we know about Garuda, we know Ramu, we know and it's like just I know these names already, and it's kind of
Yeah.
nice that it's like
You know what
anyway,
to expect in some ways.
it's like oh, there's icons or summon monsters or espers. There's like yeah, Ifrit, Ramu, like whatever,
yeah.
Leviathan, whatever. Like they're all there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And yeah, having those consistencies, it just that's what taps into like the nostalgia of playing a Final Fantasy game is just when and like Soken throws in the prelude a lot in
oh,
like other songs.
I have that written down of just like that theme is constant, even in
Yeah.
like battle like
Yep.
musics and stuff like
He
that.
he
Yeah,
will throw that into anything and it'll
yeah,
always work. And then there's like the main maybe you I think where you're going next you'll hear, but they definitely throw in like the main FF theme, like the not a world map theme, but like the main
oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I can't think of what
the
to call
main.
it other than the main theme.
I think it is called the main theme. So
Okay, that's probably why I
yeah,
can't think of another word. Yeah, but
yeah,
he
yeah.
definitely like throws that in there. I've heard the world map from FF1 tucked into a boss fight song.
Nice.
And so yeah, Soken is so good at that stuff, doing like the Garuda 14 theme into the Garuda theme from this game. I mentioned the Titan fight. That once you get to that fight, I will send you the 14 version of Titan because I don't even want to like lead you. Like I don't want to like hint to you what it's gonna sound like.
Oh, okay,
But
nice.
it's like when you hear it and then you hear 14's Titan theme, you'll see why I absolutely lost my shit at that part of the game. So even the way they do so like the game is definitely divided in like sort of two sort of segments where it's like exploration segment, mission segment.
Yeah,
And the exploration stuff is in like the big zones that you can revisit and go back and forth and explore around whatever. And then the missions are like you can't go back and visit this place on the map. There's that stone thing in the hideaway where you can like replay them or whatever.
yeah.
But like you can't go back to the Great Wood or whatever it's called and just like look around like casually.
Yeah.
So like, and it's like the way those missions are designed, they feel so much like an FF14 dungeon, where
Oh
it's
wow.
like cutscene going in, it's like a little bit of lore, and then it's like 2 or 3 groups of enemies, boss. 2 or 3
Yeah.
groups of enemies, boss. 2 or 3 groups of enemies, big boss. And then cutscene to end it.
Yeah.
And that's like every dungeon in FF14. It's like
Awesome.
exactly the same. Like it feels, and it's like mostly linear, and there's a couple chests hidden, like along that path, and
Yeah.
that's literally how they designed FF14 dungeons. So it's like it just had like this real familiar feel. Now I know like most action games will do a similar type of thing, but it's like because I know it's the 14 team, it just feels like
Yeah.
very much like they know how to space this and like how to pace this dungeon or this mission,
Yeah.
and it always ends in like a big climactic boss fight with cinematic transitions and stuff, which also feels very 7 remake because the big boss at the end of whatever chapter was always this big elaborate insane
Oh yeah.
ordeal.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're just like fine tuning that formula at this point, and that just it's so fun to be the the ones benefiting from that all that polish that
Yeah,
they've been
yeah,
practicing, right?
yeah. Side note, I took your advice and I went to Control Style 2
Yeah,
right from the start. Not for the demo because I you obviously didn't know
yeah,
that yet. And like I'm really enjoying the Style 2.
same.
When it was, I knew it was a little bit of like this is gonna be harder because like the symbols are kind of organized.
Yeah, it honestly, when I switched, it took me like 2 hours before I
Yeah,
stopped doing the wrong combination. But then
yeah,
I started. So what I did visually that helped me is, you know
yeah,
how above that part of the HUD, there's
yeah.
like you only have one, or you have two net. Yeah, you have two.
Two. Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's like kind of like diagonally like two dots. I
yeah,
look at
yeah,
those as the triggers, and that's
yeah.
sort of how I had to mentally like make that switch, because it honestly took me like 2 to 3 hours before I stopped accidentally pushing the other combination to do those moves.
Because I remember in the demo, I was like, "Oh, it's really nice that like this is oriented in the diamond, like the buttons are, and this is it was visually the same as what was down here."
Yeah,
And now that's not quite as convenient, but like you said, now I just think, look, I gotta hit square to get into, you know, a move, and it's just like the bottom one is R1 and the top one's R2
yeah,
or whatever. So now I'm fully engaged. I don't kind of need to
cool.
think about it too much anymore. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of like hitting both of them for either
Yes,
like the charge or
yes,
like my downward slash like in the air or
yeah.
whatever. Like
That feels
that's pretty
really
good
good.
feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the reason I did change it initially is because I found doing attack and magic was hard, because you had to do it just with your thumb and hit both.
Yeah.
And you can
Okay.
individually charge one or the other while you're hitting one. So like I could
Yep.
be holding R2 and just hitting R1, and I'm attacking normally while charging a magic shot,
Oh, I
or vice versa.
didn't really know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Good to
even
know.
while you're doing like an icon move, you can start charging either of those two. And then it's fun when you have them both charged and you like, do the big burning blade and then a huge magic blast like right after. So I just liked having those two, like two fingers for those two moves,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when you're like weaving like attack magic, attack magic, attack magic, and you get those
Yeah, yeah.
magic bursts or whatever they're called.
Hmm.
So yeah, I found that made me um, get a lot more comfortable, like fully utilizing my kit
Yeah.
when I switched to the Type B or whatever the second one is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's definitely the one I like the most.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, no, I appreciate that. So no, that was good.
Yeah. Um,
Sorry, 14 references.
yeah. No. I'm just looking at my list. I think that's most of the 14 stuff that I just immediately wanted to mention, because I just thought it was such a you know and even like Garuda's design is like the like upgraded exact version of Garuda from 14. Just she looks
Yeah,
way cooler. Man,
yeah.
that okay. This is a little spoilery outside of the demo. It's the Garuda part. Um, I said now I've been watching all the FF16 content that I was skipping, and at their PAX panel, they
Wait,
said that
what were you skipping? Sorry, like
well, I was ignoring all
I
the
see.
16 stuff.
Sorry. All the stuff online. I thought you meant you were skipping cutscenes
No, God
in
no.
the game. I was like,
No, no,
what
no,
the
no, no. Yeah, like when I was ignoring all the trailers and
Okay.
all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They definitely in one of the panels they said they wanted every icon fight to feel different. They don't
Mm,
want it to just be like, oh, here's the icon part again, so here's the
yeah.
same moves or the exact same fight but with a different icon or whatever.
Mm,
And once you get through more of them, we can talk about like what each one more specifically feels like. Even the Phoenix part is like a shooter,
yeah.
like a shoot 'em up type game,
Yeah.
like Panzer Dragoon, Star Fox, like kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the Garuda Ifrit fight, they said, because that they showed a lot of that in these things. I'm so glad I ignored all this stuff, because like they show
Yeah.
that entire fight when you're the icon fight with Garuda. They've shown
Oh
it at
man.
panels and stuff.
No, no.
But they said they want it to feel like a wrestling match.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's slower, like you're not jumping around as if it all quick, and it's
yeah,
just like they're grappling. Like
yeah,
there's one part where like Garuda's trying to fly away, and you grab and pull
yeah.
her back down, and they fight, and she tries to get away again, and then she like gets her talons like down into you, and it does
Yeah.
this like camera thing where she grabs you with both feet and starts like whipping you around, and the
Oh,
cameras,
yeah.
and it's just like, oh my god, it was so cool. I
And
just
it's like your Ifrit combo is just kind of like 3 hits and and a range or whatever, and it's
yeah
just like punch,
yeah.
punch, and then like double punch and then or whatever. Like,
And you get
yeah,
one move, like I think part way in that fight, it's like lunge, and it's like you dash forward, and you like push
yeah,
her face into the ground, and it's just like it's so, and it's like so when you look at it like a wrestling match, like
yeah,
that's what it is, like, and that's what
yeah, yeah,
it's very just deliberate, like really they want you to feel the impact that fight is having, and then when you get to the other fights, they're not like that at all, like they're very different, um, and
uh,
but that Garuda fight that was like I think I literally just shouted like Jesus Christ, like
yeah.
how is this a video game? Like it's just insane.
Um, like there are so many times where I keep thinking like, oh, this is what Garrett was talking about with like, I can't believe I just witnessed the most, because that fight, it was, first of all, when you were like human form fighting Garuda,
Yeah.
I was just like, this is insane. This is probably what Garrett was talking about. And then just like two icons like fighting each other, and the insanity of it, the music. And I was like, oh no, okay, this is clearly what Garrett
Yeah.
was talking
Yeah, you're
about.
still not there.
And then fighting Ifrit.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah. I know where
yeah,
you are. I know which fight you're talking about.
yeah. And I was like, we're like, just everything's on fire. And it's like, what is happening? The music's insane. It's a huge emotional swell. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep thinking that
Yeah.
as we go. Um, but one thing I wanted to say was, it's actually pretty crazy that the coincidence of just what I'm watching. I think I talked to you about this. Is like, I'm watching Attack on Titan right now.
Sure.
I've never watched it, and I'm kind of just into season 4 now. But I'm just like, this is Attack on Titan is what this is. Like there'll be people just get like crazy angry and then just explode into like these gigantic, monsters, and it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, yeah, this is Attack on Titan, and so I just half expect them to just and then go into icon mode. But like when Garuda kind of first, not semi-prime but full on Garuda,
Yeah.
that was just that felt very Attack on Titan to me.
And when you
But
get those close-up shots of her, like in the cutscene, when you like think you beat her and she comes up and grabs you, you get those close-ups on her. Like it's just like, how is this a video game? Like
yeah.
it's
Oh,
insane. And so one thing that's crazy. Do you know what I mean when I say, um, like if like, something is rendered in engine versus a pre-rendered cutscene? Do you know what I mean when I say that?
maybe a little bit,
So
but
like the very like obvious difference is like as an example is like when we think of like OGFF7
mm,
when you're getting the chibi polygon models like
yeah,
that's working within the engine of the game. They're
yeah,
animating them within like in real time it's being animated for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then like the CG stuff is like someone
Ah,
animated those frame by frame and it's basically just saved as a movie and it plays for you.
yeah. Okay, no, I know
Um,
what you mean. Yeah,
so what's crazy in this game is like the only way to know for sure that it's not a pre-rendered cutscene that you're watching is if
yeah.
Clive's weapon is the one you currently have
Okay.
equipped because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
changes.
yeah,
And so if you see his default one, you got the new gear. Yeah, you got
yeah,
the
yeah,
cover the box
yeah,
art outfit.
yeah, yeah.
Um, if he has that sword
Hmm.
when you're in a cutscene outside of the ones that right when you
You
get it,
actually, yeah,
then it's pre-rendered. And
yeah,
I can tell you, I think I have only seen 3 cases where I'm like, okay, this is for sure pre-rendered because he's got that weapon and I don't have that equipped. And every other cutscene in the game is rendered in real time within the engine of the game. And it's like the visual line is so blurred now between like, because it used to be obviously more obvious, even just in like FF15. Like,
Yeah.
it was obvious when it was a pre-rendered cutscene versus the in-engine
Yeah.
stuff. And it's just like, so when you're in those icon fights, like none of that is pre-rendered. It's all just, it's like the game taking over and animating the puppets for you.
The stuff that's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember 7 Remake, same kind of thing. If Cloud would have his Buster Sword. And there's the characters
There's not
have
many.
Yeah, no, there's not many, and they have a very slightly different look to them. I like, like Aerith in the cutscenes looks kind of slightly different than kind of in-engine Aerith, or whatever. But
because they can animate every single frame of those cutscenes.
It's a movie. It doesn't need the engine to drive it, kind of thing. But anyway, so to your point, it's your point isn't so much that like, hey, you can tell the difference between the two. It's what they're able to do with the engine stuff.
And it's like, it's crazy that the only way I know is I have to see his sword, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's one or the other unless I can see what sword he has on his back. Just how good, that's how good it looks.
That fight, like I kind of, there's so many times in that fight I was just like stop trying to one up yourself in in 30-second intervals, kind of thing. Like, you got me. I've already like crapped my pants here. Like, Jesus Christ. But at one point, or sorry, that was the wrestling match fight. It's like slow-mo regenerating your hand.
Oh, that was so cool. Yeah.
Oh God.
After she breaks your arm off, just boom. And then she does it with her leg. He rips her fucking leg off, and she gets it back, and that's when she like stabs him in the gut or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God, that game.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And so that brings me a little bit to like the whole PS5 thing. So when the PS5 was first announced, and we found out what like the specs of it were gonna be. Obviously we always know graphics are gonna get crazier and crazier. I don't feel like there's as big of a visual leap. There is one, but from like PS4 to PS5, I don't feel like there's as big of a like visual leap as something like PS3 to PS4. And like, so it's like, I knew it would look better, and like 16 is proof that it does look insanely better. But the biggest thing that when I saw the specs and stuff is that a baseline PS5 has a super fast SSD hard drive. And so every game that is now PS5 exclusive at its lowest level will have access to this hard drive. And the thing that made me, we've always been PlayStation, fanboys. And I've had Xboxes in the past, but my complaint with the current generation of Xbox is they want a lot of their games to still work on Xbox One. Like that's sort of their vision that they want. They don't want to exclude people like that. But the problem is, when you do that, your game at its most basic level has to work on that old hardware. And then so yes, you can make it look nicer and maybe run at a higher frame rate on the newer consoles, but from it literally like a game design perspective,
skeletal framework,
right? And what the PS5 exclusivity allows people to do that make a game that's PS5 only is like, so in games like 7 Remake had a lot of this, Uncharted has a lot of this, like forced walking sections or forced get on your knees and crawl slowly through this. Tomb Raider does a lot, shimmying
sidling through.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic.
So that is 100% to hide load times.
Yeah. Oh,
When you do that,
100%.
that they're
Yeah.
loading the next big area for you. When you don't have to worry about having a disk-based hard drive
Yeah.
takes time to load stuff,
Yeah.
that means you no longer have to find like put a
Shoehorn those into your design. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And now there's still some, and it's kind of funny. I feel like they almost like make fun of it in that very beginning when you're Clive on the cliffside, because there's like one and you like runs across. It's like, oh, okay. So we went real quick over that.
I actually laughed pretty hard at that. I was like, oh, classic. Oh shit. Okay, no, never mind.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that was almost done like intentionally to be like, this is a PS5 game, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just about to say that. It's just like, oh yeah, classic. Psych.
Yeah.
Just see him like flipping the bird to other consoles while he goes by.
So stuff like that gets removed, right? And now the easy version is just to like, oh, like just take those sections out or make them go through those things faster, like, and then everything else. But it's like, this is where the creativity in game design comes into play. So
Yeah.
when you're doing those icon fights and you get those like cinematic dodge and cinematic action, that's there for loading. That's there to load these insane set piece moments, but they can do them in a second.
Yeah.
It takes you for that icon to come up and you to push it. It's like that's how long it needed to just load the rest of the crazy shit you're about to see.
Oh wow, that's so clever.
And because it's like baseline SSD, it's like instead of having you do the fight, get their HP to 0, fade to black, cutscene. That would be the easy way.
Yeah.
Oh, just don't worry, it's gonna look insane. So we're just gonna stop the fight and let you watch this cutscene. It's like no, you literally get 1 second to load the next, whatever the crazy shit is about to happen. Just press square and give me 1 second. I'll load it for you, right? And it's just like I have so much respect for them, not just taking the easy road of doing that version.
They're not going to compromise their work. It's like, you know what? I have a chance to do it the best way possible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to settle for anything less than perfection, kind of thing.
Because when that happens, like you're still, and what happens is like you can't take your eyes off because those will pop. Oh, and in hard mode, I will say this: you don't get the prompt of what to push. You have to go because I think blue is attack. Red is dodge, and then the orange is mash. Yeah. You don't get the icon in the middle, so it just happens, and you gotta like know what it wants you to do based on the color. But it just keeps you engaged, right? And it's like it can create those that Garuda fight like is stuck in my head so much because of like. Because they did it that way, where it never took you out of it into a cutscene, and like you don't even know what is cutscene and what is gameplay anymore because it can load all of that stuff in a fraction of a second. So just having it baseline PS5 exclusive means at minimum we get this insanely fast SSD loading time. For anything you have to load is all going to be running off of this.
Just such a good game. Oh man, I'm just loving it.
Yeah, when you gotta like push a door open, it's like hold R2. That replaces like a 30-second walking slow through a tunnel or something. It's like that is literally like something crazy shit is about to happen. So like when that icon comes up.
And it's funny too because it's very clever because it employs the haptic feedback of
on the triggers.
Which is always nice.
I love it.
I always love that.
And so like I get like I get the supply issue that PS5's had, so some people are upset that it's a PS5 exclusive, but it's like we're almost 3 years in to this console now. So it's like the Band-Aid has been ripped off. Like PS5 exclusives are going to start happening, but I want people to understand like I know that sucks that you have to buy a new console, but like if people approach making their games in the creative way that this game was made by like
Yeah.
not just hiding loading times or having very quick like
Load
very
screens. Yeah.
right exactly
Yeah.
like by doing stuff like this that just makes me excited for things like Spider-Man and Rebirth
Yeah.
and stuff because like now we're at that point where it's just like the PS5 is just like unleashing its
Yeah.
raw power on our eyes, and it's just I feel like it adds so much to this game's feeling of
Yeah.
scale and just how intense these battles are because you're never taken out of it for a loading screen.
It's a good point because like I remember playing FF7 for the fifth time remake
Yeah, sure.
on the PS5 because I was kind of watching the because it was graphically improved a bit,
Yeah.
whatever the door and whatnot.
Yeah.
But uh, I was like, oh man, these load screens are super fast. So it's like that's a good thing. But the thing about FF16 is it's like, oh, there are no load screens. It's like
Yeah. Only
it's just
when you're like changing zones is like the
uh,
only time you get an actual load screen.
yeah, yeah. So anyways, I never kind of noticed that, but it's perfect. It just kind of leads into everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh, just so awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, I just that was on the panel that they had. They talked about specifically um, those cinematic things are
Yeah,
that's how they make these fights as elaborate as they're and like I'm telling you you're still in tutorial mode. Like you don't even understand how insane these fights will get. And it's like it's crazy that it's all happening in real time with no load screens. Like I do
um,
not understand how this game is possible.
oh, I'm just so happy right now. I'm just when I'm deep into a game that I just love and the story is great and anyway, like every day it's like alarm goes off and it's just like oh work and da 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 da. But like Saturday, I was up at like 5:30 and just like coffee game and just like here we go. I was like the happiest guy in the world. Like
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, it's been so much fun.
it's a feeling that is so hard to explain to someone that doesn't play games. And like I try to explain it like when my boss like asked me about my vacation, like how it was or whatever, and it's like I don't think I can make you understand the elation I feel when
Yeah,
I'm sitting down. Like for me it was Thursday, I got off work at like 3:30 and it's like coming home with my snacks prepared, knowing I don't have to go to work for like 10 days, and this
yeah,
Final Fantasy 16 is ready, installed, and ready for me to jump in. It's like that feeling. It's like it's so hard that someone that doesn't play games, they just don't. It's impossible to make them understand what that feeling is.
yeah.
And I had that twice in like 2 months with Zelda and FF16. It's insane.
The only way it could have been more perfect for me was like if it was shitty weather outside. That is
Sure.
just that's better. Here it's just like maybe I should do something else. Close
Just close the
close.
curtains. Yeah.
Um, but it was kind of overcasty, gross today, so it was like, yeah,
No guilt.
no guilt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's just like that point in every. I would say it's all, even the turn based ones to some level, but more with the more recent ones that are a little more action heavy. There's just like that point when you get in a FF game where it's like when everything just clicks and like you understand how to play this game and how the battle works and and it's like there you go there's like the hold on, I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget the way I said it. Yeah, there's a moment when you're no longer thinking about what you want to do, you're doing what you think,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like you're
yeah,
doing what you want, you're no longer thinking about what you want to do, you're just
yeah, yeah,
doing that thing while you're thinking it.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just like when that all clicks and I just like I know exactly where I was. I think I just did a crazy battle, and it was like I did so much cool shit in that battle, and it's like,
Yeah.
ah, okay, like I get it, I
Yeah.
understand. And like 13 had a level of that when you just got used to paradigm switching and like, you know,
Yeah.
learning how to properly stagger, like, you know,
Yeah.
how to build the stagger gauge and all this stuff, and like 7 remake when it just clicks on how and when to switch party members because your ATB builds faster when you're controlling someone versus
Yeah.
standby, and it's like when you just get all that down and you're just like you're not even thinking about pushing the buttons, you want to do this thing and you just do it.
You're just
uh,
vibing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Uh,
when that hit on this game it felt so good.
there was one point where I like uh partially staggered Ifrit. And
Oh, like
then
halfway, that
yeah,
halfway point.
yeah, and then like but with Garuda, if you do the L2,
Pull them
you
down.
yank them down. And
Yeah.
and it kind of like, oh, this is like a little cinematic to show me that this isn't gonna work. And it was just like, oh no, yeah, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But I remember being pretty proud that like I kind of recognized like, oh wait, no, this is just like a little bit of a stumble, but I I just learned that if I can yank them down, whatever.
When I get to that halfway point.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then I could unleash like my kind of go-to is like a charge and then like jump down strike and then do like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1
Yeah.
2. Oh, and something again, this is child's play probably to you, but like when I do like in the air like the L1 L2 slash down,
Yeah.
I'm able to charge my blade during that, so it's
Yeah.
like down and then big second one.
So when you do that, hold
Yeah,
both
yeah,
and do that exactly what you did, and then
yeah,
also let R2, because it's
awesome.
like down, big swing, and when he does the charge magic, it like knocks them back or whatever. So it's
Oh,
like
nice.
boom, 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 and it's just like, oh yeah, I know.
I will definitely do that.
I do that combo all the time. It feels so good. And the like little finishers when they're on the ground.
Oh,
Some
I
of those are
love those.
so good.
Yeah, like every single one of those, I will never get tired of
Yeah.
that. That's like revengeance of just like yanking the
Yeah.
spine out, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that, as I, this is not gonna get old.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now.
There's this one funny part where you just have to accept it's a video game. And it's like I won't say any context for spoiler reasons, but like you fight a group of people or bandits or whatever you want to call them, and then you realize like, oh, they're not bad guys. They just thought you were someone else or something to that effect. And
Yeah.
so you're fighting, like stabbing the ground, and then like the cutscene's happening after, and they're getting up like, oh, and it's like, oh, I stabbed you, like pretty violently on the ground, or like kick them up and swing their sword. And it's just funny that you get up like, oh man, oh that hurt.
Oh god, you really did a number on me there.
I laughed so hard at that because like as soon as I realized like, oh, these weren't the bad guys, I'm like, oh shit, I just murdered all of them, and then it like a wide shot and they're like, oh, getting up, and I'm just like, oh, it's a video game, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, you really kind of gave me the goods there. Yeah, it kind of did. Rewind 20 seconds.
Just
On the ground, sword through your face. Uh, um, but I mean, doing this to like these crabs and whatever, it is like, who cares? Like, kick them, it's like, or up into the air, slash, like.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will not get tired of that.
No.
Oh, that guy's on his back. Ignore everyone else.
Just dash right over to him. Yeah.
I know what I want to do.
Yeah. Or it's funny
man.
too when you charge your magic and you're like hitting them, charge magic shot knocks them back, Garuda pulling back in.
Yeah, oh
and
man.
while you're pulling back in, you're holding magic again. So you're like, boom, boom. It's just like keep yanking them back.
When I'm like, look guys, I'm just trying to see if there are any chests around here. I really don't care about you and your what you're angry about. You know, so it's just like slash pull you back, slash like no one's watching me play. Like it's just like, yeah. Give me my damn experience. I don't care.
Um,
I'm not trying to be fancy.
there was what was I gonna say about that? Oh, uh, definitely look at the trophies for no. A lot of them are hidden, so there's
Yeah.
no spoilery stuff. But at
Yeah.
least the Garuda and Phoenix ones, I think are visible by default. There's like
Okay.
some combat trophies that like
Okay.
do a specific thing with their powers,
Oh, okay.
and
Cool.
they're fun. They're really fun to like. Oh, like how to like you just gotta like, and it kind of helps you like learn how to use those abilities.
Yeah, I was about to say it's more like a tutorial on how to be
Yeah,
better at your move sets. So
and
yeah,
those were
yeah,
really fun to do like while I was progressing in the game rather than go back and do them when I'm over leveled or something.
yeah, yeah,
One thing that I will say that I only learned this because I was trying to get one of the trophies. I don't know if it specifically said this in a tutorial pop up, is when you master, excuse me, one of the moves that aren't like the basic move like the Garuda
yeah,
pull or whatever.
yeah,
Um, it allows you to assign it to a different icon.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Gotcha.
know that. And one of the, I'll just tell you one of the Garuda trophies is you have to use Rook's Gambit, which is the like dodge counterattack
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
Gouge, and Wicked Wheel all on one enemy without touching the ground. So you have to get in the air
Oh,
and do all
okay.
three. And I was like, wait, that's three moves. I can
That's
only
3
do
moves.
two. Like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
yeah.
And so I was just looking at, I think I was looking at the descriptions of,
Mm.
like, maybe I was like, oh, am I reading what the name of the move is called or something? And I was looking,
Yeah,
and it says, like, upgrade what the effect is, and then master assigned to any icon. And I was like,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense why I couldn't do it before.
And it's a good point because I don't think there is a tutorial on like I found myself I was on the abilities screen and looking around and I was kind of like what does mastering even mean and da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. And I was kind of confused and it was like details and I was like oh man this is super useful
Yeah, it's got a lot of info on that. Yeah.
and it tells you what the upgrade gives you and what the
Yep.
master gives you and I was like no one told me this
No. Yeah.
and then so it was like oh the downward slash like now has like a flame element to it or
Yeah.
something or
It like
more
sets them on fire for a second or something like that.
more hits for this or you dash further and it's like yeah this is what I want to know and like that was not obvious to me so it's happy that I just
Yeah.
I mean,
It was me trying to get that trophy and not understanding how I was supposed to do three of her moves.
yeah
That led me into those menus, and I was like, oh, because like obviously this is no spoiler. You get more than three icons,
yeah
but you only
yeah
have three like slots of two moves.
mhm,
So you can mix and match a lot more if you start mastering stuff.
mhm.
So anyway, yeah. So that was I'm glad I learned it as early as I did, because definitely like trying to get those trophies, in those really interesting ways. Like that was one I forget what her other one was now, but um, trying to get those with the powers was really fun. Just like little combat challenge,
Yeah. Yeah.
to do as you get the new powers and stuff. Um, so yeah, that was those are worth doing as they come up. Just because, like I said, it'd be less fun if were overpowered and you could just do them really easily against something without even trying. Like, you have to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
those and also not die.
Yeah.
So those were really fun to do.
I do get a lot of satisfaction out of pulling off a successful Rook's Gambit
Oh god, yeah.
as a counter or whatever.
You're doing like
Yeah.
the like whipping that move, like
Yeah.
yeah, that one feels good, and it does like a lot of stagger
Yeah.
damage if you land it. I don't think I don't know if I've ever taken that fully off my like ability set. I use that
Yeah.
all the way through the whole game.
Yeah.
And then there's definitely more that you'll find that once you get your next set of powers. No, the next one. When you progress further, there's a really fun combo that I found that I'll show you
Oh,
what it is. 'Cause,
nice.
yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can mix and match with those powers and stuff. So
It
they're really fun.
the game I feel like I've seen a bunch of this, and I mean, this is just a rule of the internet. A lot of people being like, this is not my Final Fantasy. This is whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, this is exactly what I loved about playing as Tifa in
Sure.
seven remake.
Yeah.
Like I had moves with shortcuts and I had combos that I loved doing,
Yep.
and mastering the shortcuts
Yeah.
on 7 remake was when that combat clicked for me, when it
Yeah.
wasn't like hitting X and choosing this. It was, I can't remember, but like whatever, holding R2 and the 4 shortcut buttons that you
Yeah.
get was when like turning Tifa into a staggering machine,
Yeah.
you know, kind of thing. So anyway,
and,
no,
and I know it's like it's because it's so popular that everyone on the internet just there's that subset of people that just want to shit on it. And it's like if you don't think this game is Final Fantasy, you haven't played one fucking second of it. It is like the most Final Fantasy that Final
yeah,
Fantasy has been for a long time.
yeah.
You know,
That,
outside of 7 remake maybe because that was pulling from the original. But even
well,
7 is not very Final Fantasy.
no, and
Um,
like I was just about to say, like I would argue if 7 remake is like the least almost like
it's probably the most Final Fantasy since 10. Because even
yeah,
12 felt very different or whatever, right? So
yeah.
it's like
Like
if people are saying that, they have not played one fucking second of this game because
yeah, this is
it oozes Final Fantasy stuff.
not my Final Fantasy. Oh, so to you, Final Fantasy is not summon monsters,
Crystals,
crystals,
magic, medieval
magic,
fantasy, sword and
nice
shields,
dragons. What? Yeah.
chocobos, and it's like, oh, okay, sure. Well, I don't know what your definition is then because
It's almost comically, absurdly too much Final Fantasy.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but those are people that are never going to play it anyway. So, and they're
yeah,
also the ones that would complain that Final Fantasy is just the same thing every time if they just did turn-based battles all the time. Like they would just be the ones complaining about that. So, and Final
it's
Fantasy is like the series that redefines itself every time. It's like the game that is probably best known for doing that, so well for so long. And it's
yeah,
like, what did you expect? Like, of course it's not going to be like Final Fantasy 15 because Final Fantasy 15 wasn't like 13 and
yeah.
13 wasn't like 12. Like, it never is. And anyway, yeah, I just.
Rule of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I don't engage with it because it's like, yeah, like play the game for 5 seconds and tell me it's not a Final Fantasy game.
And it's kind of like, look, here, what's Final Fantasy's identity? It's constantly reinventing itself by sticking to its amazing lore and reusing that and banking on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the perfect formula. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that their execution is very good every time.
Yeah, and being perfectionist about all 3 of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Oh God. But anyway, yeah. So we don't need to worry about those. They're definitely not watching this podcast. So
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's pretty much all I had for the non-spoiler section. So we will absolutely revisit FF16 once you finish, and we can really deep dive into the specifics. So no rush on that, obviously. I think we have sort of a nostalgia-themed one planned for our next one because Mario RPG Remake got announced, and I lost my shit. I was at work at like my lunch break watching that, and I freaked the hell out because the trailer started showing the actual original opening. And so it's like, oh, they're adding it to Switch Online. You know what I mean? Because they have Super Nintendo games. Like, sweet. They just added Harvest Moon to that. That was a big game I played.
Oh, nice.
So I've been playing that. Like, yeah, great. Mario RPG. Gladly, I'll play that again on Switch Online. And then it's like the little graphic comes in and it blows up, and it's like, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And like all the music is redone and stuff. So yeah, we'll do a more nostalgia themed episode for our next one. And also, go ahead.
It's interesting too because I feel like Mario RPG is really kind of what got us into RPGs.
Yeah. So and
like
we talked about this a little bit, and I think I figured out. Well, so
yeah,
between FF6 and Chrono Trigger, I think Chrono Trigger came after FF6, but the more I thought about it, I'm pretty sure it was like me obsessing over Mario RPG from
Yeah.
Nintendo Power, and
Yeah.
and reading that, oh, it's a turn-based game.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know how to play those. So I
Yeah.
was like, let me find another one by Squaresoft,
Yeah.
and I'll play that to practice so I'm good at this game when it comes out.
Mhm.
Because I definitely remember obsessing over Mario RPG before I think I had the player's guide for the
Yep.
game, and I didn't have the game yet.
Man, player's guide is
Yeah.
a word.
I know.
I was like, oh, that just like resonated in my brain here.
I still have a couple, but I don't have the Mario RPG one. I think it got destroyed. I remember it was falling apart for a while because I used it so much. But because I was obsessing over that game so much, I was like, man, I really want to like play a game that's like this so I can. And I think I don't know if it was like Jacques that had six or played it or whatever. And I was like, oh, I remember knowing that game would teach me how to play this game. And then played that and I'm like, well, I fucking love this game.
Yeah.
And then I think it was that, then Mario RPG. I'm like, more of this, please. And then Chrono Trigger was, inevitably the next one that we would have found by the same, developer, and it looked the same type of game or whatever. And I definitely know Chrono Trigger was after Mario RPG because I was trying to do the timed hits in Chrono Trigger. And thinking it was working because we New Game Plused it. Chrono had the rainbow sword, so it would crit every time.
Every time.
So I thought it was a thing, and then realized after that, much later, that it was not a thing.
Yeah.
So I know it was for sure after Mario RPG, and I know we used FF6, or I used that to practice for Mario RPG. So that's why I think Chrono Trigger came third.
Yeah. Yeah, my memory is hazy of the whole thing. And release dates won't tell me anything because I know we played FF6 way after it came out. Yeah. Anyway, Mario RPG is certainly what kind of galvanized RPGs for me. Yeah. Anyway, so that looks awesome. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and some other the more nostalgia list of games next time. By the time this is up, I do have another interview with someone that I did last night. I'm going to post that next weekend, so that should be out by next week.
I'm
Friday or Saturday.
About 2/3 through your interview with Ms. Cupcakes, and it's been really, really fun. I've been really enjoying listening to that.
She was a blast to talk to for sure. So she was a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't. If you have any last closing thoughts about 16, or I think we covered pretty much.
Yeah, no, I kind of got everything on my notes here. Just it's just. Oh, the music is so good. The gameplay is so good. Like we discussed, I like how it's helping me appreciate more of the old school, like grassroots crystals.
Like medieval fantasy,
whilst also spoon feeding me with the ATL when I need it to kind of keep up with like. Just all the terms and levels of government, kind of thing. So
because it allows that story to still be very rich, and more believable as like an entity that exists off screen, but also not leaving you in the dark. So it's a perfect merge of those two things.
Character development is fantastic. Like anyway.
One thing I did see is I think his name is Ben Starr. He's the voice actor for Clive. He said while he was working on this game, because it's been however many years, I think he said like he lost his dad. Like his dad passed away while he was working on it, and his dad got him into Final Fantasy in the first place. Like actually introduced him. I forget which one he said. I don't remember which one he said he showed him. It might have been 7, but I can't remember. So it's like the reason why the voice actor for Clive likes Final Fantasy is because his dad got him into it, and his dad passed away. I don't remember when he said, but during working on this game. So he said like when he gets to those real emotional moments, especially probably like that one early on. Yeah. Because voice acting gets done much later, obviously. But he said like that's like what
But
he
he
used,
channels.
yeah,
Huh.
to when he had to get to those really like dark places. So just like so much more respect
Oh
for,
wow.
and it like it just like it like you said, like it feels like visceral when that stuff,
Yeah.
when he delivers stuff like that. So much respect to the guy. Clive is very quickly shooting to the top of a lot of people's list of like favorite Final Fantasy characters.
Nice.
I think there was a video I have to look up to see. I saw a tweet about it where it was like Clive reading thirsty tweets or something, and it was like the voice actor reading tweets about Clive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that would be really funny because a lot of people find he is a very handsome,
Yeah.
young
uh,
man.
that was funny. At one point you're in the dungeon at the
Oh yeah,
hideaway, chained up.
naked.
And yeah, naked. Yeah, yeah. And Sid's like, get you dressed. It's like, look, you're pretty, but you're not my type, or something like that. That's pretty good.
Oh, and you've met Gav already now too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Gav is he's so great. He's um trying to think where you are. Did you
So he almost fell and you caught him.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
he comes back, and this is okay, this is an example. I know we said we're done, but there's one last thing. Uh this is an example of the localization team being so good. Is like
Yeah.
they're not just taking Japanese writing
Mhm.
and translating it because some
Yeah.
jokes wouldn't make sense or some
Yeah.
things wouldn't make sense. And so I feel like it's way more collaborative where they're
Mhm.
working with the English, localization team as well during the
Yep.
writing of the game to make sure it kind of makes sense in both areas. And it's like when he comes back and what's her name? Taria or something, the medic that's in the
Oh, yeah,
hideaway.
okay. Yeah.
She's like, it's like, oh, go get patched up with her or whatever, and he's like, oh, tell me how long I've got or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that's definitely that feels more of like a Western joke. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that humor is as Japanese as it is Western.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that's an example of like the localization team probably like came up with that idea for that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just played it so well, and it's just like I love Gav. He's so great. And just moments like that, he just like you just love the guy. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, Sid, so good. Okay, yeah, we'll stop now because
Yeah.
we could talk for 2 more hours about just why we love this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll revisit this later when you get around. Maybe probably won't wait until you like 100% it or whatever. Like once you beat the game, so we can talk full spoilers.
Sure.
That's probably when we'll come back around to it, and by then we might have another Rebirth trailer because I think opening night live is the Gamescom thing, and there may be another trailer there. This is what they did for Remake, where like every major event they had a new trailer basically.
Oh man. Oh, I feel like
Um,
we just had one, but I guess that was in
but
June, I guess.
and
Yeah.
this thing is in August. It's like late
Oh.
August or something. So yeah, and if we don't get one there, Tokyo Game Show is not long after, and we will 100% get one for Tokyo Game Show because they did a TGS trailer for 7 Remake.
Okay.
And like that's like when people are talking about the other Rebirth, the first, like, man, we didn't see Sid, we didn't see Vincent, we didn't see Gold Saucer. And I was like, do you not remember like 3 years ago when they were building the hype for 7 Remake that we got
Yeah.
like a trailer every like 5 weeks or something? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we got like I think we got at least 5 or 6 trailers for that game, like full trailers. By the time they announced it, like in 2019 E3 to when
Yeah.
it came out, it was like trailer. It's like they're obviously going to save like Vincent for one trailer. Then
Yeah.
Gold Saucer will be a moment in a trailer. Like they're drip feeding this stuff. Like, do you not remember this? We just went through this. Like
It's
because it
called-
was like the dress, like, and no one knew what they were gonna do about the cross
Yeah.
thing. Like that was like
Yeah.
the highlight of one of the trailers.
Yeah. It's
so
called marketing, guys. Just like like you are doing exactly what they want you to do. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
you are feeding the machine right now.
yeah. Right now, Square Enix is just like good.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. No, sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll
I'm
we'll call it there, and we'll come back around to 16 when we get when you get to the end, and we'll go full spoiler discussion on that. And next time we'll talk about some nostalgia stuff. That'll probably be in a couple weeks because I'll have that interview up next week, and then we'll get together sometime after that. So
perfect. Cool. All right.
Good.
Well, I'm gonna go play some games. What game I'm gonna play?
All right, perfect. All right, thanks for joining us, Matt, and thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next weekend. What is that? July calendar, 14th, 15th. Probably Friday is when that interview will be up. So if you're watching this by that point, check it out. I won't say who it is yet, but it was a really fun interview. More music cover conversation. We'll check that out, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Beauty.
Right. Thanks.
All right. Cheers, everyone.